I gave you one quick and easy Mexican chicken dish last week with my chicken al pastor. But if you're looking for another one, I have the perfect solution for you here. This is my chicken and black bean sauce. Comes together very quickly and is very versatile. You could have it over rice, pasta, potatoes, even eggs. So if you'd like to see how this is done, stick around because it's coming up next. Hello and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Roy. I'm a home cook and amateur baker, and I'm here on this channel sharing recipes that have helped me to lose over 125 pounds, whether those recipes are mine or someone else's. Now today is one of mine. I was looking for a reason to use up some black beans. I had a ton of cans of black beans in the cupboard, and I was thinking, what am I going to do with them? And I started researching, and I came up with this dish for a chicken in black bean sauce. Now there is a black bean sauce that is Chinese, that's called douchi. I think it's douchi, and it is not what I'm making. Today I'm making a Mexican version, and this is solo in bites and points that I'm going to be serving it over rice. But before we get into that, let's go over the ingredients. I have here 1 pound of chicken breast, and that is cut up into bite-sized pieces. Here I have 1 15-ounce can of black beans, and you want to drain and rinse those before we use them in the sauce. Here's 1 cup of chicken broth, and you could use vegetable or beef broth if you prefer. Here I have 1 cup of frozen corn, and that has been thawed. I've let it sit out here as I was prepping everything. Now, you could use canned. You could also eliminate that if you wanted to reduce some of the carbs in this recipe, or you could swap it out for a different vegetable. I would only use thawed frozen or canned, but if you wanted to use fresh, you have that option, but I would prepare that ahead of time so that it is already cooked and ready to go in. Here I have 1/2 of a medium green pepper divided. 1 part is going into the sauce, the other is going into the skillet. And here I have 1/2 of a medium onion, and that is about 1/4 of each of those is going into the sauce. The rest will be going into the skillet. Here I have 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, and you could reduce that. You could even eliminate it really if you wanted, but I like the bump of garlic flavor in here. Here I have 1 teaspoon of hot sauce. Now in the recipe, I do suggest 2 teaspoons, but this is also an optional ingredient. Because Paul's not a fan of spice, I'm reducing that to 1 teaspoon, but if it was just me, I'd do 2. You could even bump it up if you really like spicy. Here I have 1½ teaspoons of lime juice, and lime is very common in a lot of Mexican dishes. Now for spices, I have 1½ teaspoons of chili powder, 1/2 teaspoon of cumin, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of salt divided, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt divided. That's 1/4 teaspoon of salt in each of those, and I split up the salt 1/4 teaspoon and 3/4 of a teaspoon. But that will all be in the recipe. You don't have to worry about trying to memorize that. Oh, and I have my cooking spray here. Can't forget the cooking spray. I definitely need that. But those are all of the ingredients, so let me shuffle a few things around and we're gonna get started. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is start my black bean sauce. I have my little food processor here. You could do this in a larger food processor, although I seem to have better luck with smaller portions in a small one. Also, you could use a blender if you have that available and don't have a food processor. But to this, I'm going to add the black beans, 1/4 of the green pepper, 1/4 of the onion, chili powder, cumin, 3/4 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, lime juice, and hot sauce. And now we're gonna blend this up before we add in the broth because we want those beans and those vegetables to break down a lot. And I don't want the liquid from the broth to interfere. So I'm gonna put on the lid to my food processor and just blend this up to a thick paste. And you want to scrape that down about halfway through to get those ingredients that are trying to move up to the top, get those down in there, and go again. Now it won't all break up before you add in the broth because it does need a little bit, but you can see we have a bit of a paste there. So now I'm gonna add in the chicken broth and put on my lid and blend this up until it's all smooth. Okay, so now we have that all blended up. And you can see it's a much looser version of what we had, but it is going to be perfect once we get this cooking. But before we do that, we're going to move over and get our chicken going. And I have my skillet on medium-high heat. I transferred my chicken to a plate because I want to season it with the 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. And it's a little difficult to do it in a bowl. And normally I just do it right on the cutting board. But for the sake of this video, I had it prepped ahead of time. So just get that all seasoned up and toss that around just to get that seasoning coating the chicken well. And I'm going to take my cooking spray and coat the pan liberally and then transfer the chicken right to it. Get that out into an even layer. Now, if you saw my chicken al pastor recipe from last week, we're going to do the same basic thing here. We're going to have the chicken sit as is, undisturbed, for about 3 to 4 minutes to get some color on that side, and then we're going to flip it. So it's been a little over 3 minutes. I'm going to start flipping this over, and you can see the color I got on that side is perfect. When you get color like that, whether it's on chicken or a steak or anything, that is flavor. And if anyone remembers what I called that, you can leave that down below in the comments. What is the process of browning food called? So the chicken is flipped. Now we're going to do the same thing and let it sit for about another 3 to 4 minutes, and I'll be back. All right, so it's been another 3 minutes. The browning is done. This chicken looks perfect. Now what I'm going to do is transfer this to a plate because we need to cook our vegetables. So we're going to put that back on the medium-high heat. And I'm going to give that another spray of cooking spray. And since the pan's already hot, we don't have to wait. Add in our onion. This is the 3/4 of the medium half onion. I know there's a lot of fractions going on. The rest of our green pepper. And we're going to just cook this down for about 4 to 5 minutes until those veggies soften up. And while we're doing that, we're going to scrape up any of the brown bits left behind by the chicken because, as I said, that's flavor. You want that permeating your dish. All right, so about 4 or 5 minutes, and I'll be back. It's been about 4 minutes. The onions and peppers have softened and gotten a little color. So now I'm going to add in the garlic. And you just want to stir that through and only heat it for about 30 seconds or so once it becomes fragrant. If you cook it too long, it will get burnt, and that leaves a bitter flavor. Okay, and then the corn, and it's okay if the corn's not fully thawed, it will cook a bit here, so don't worry about that. Just stir that through, and we're gonna heat this through for just about 2 to 3 minutes. So it's been about 2 minutes. Now what I'm going to do is add the chicken back in along with any juices that may have come out onto the plate and stir that back through. Now we're going to add in the black bean sauce, and we're going to cook this down so it thickens up somewhat and isn't as liquid as it is now. And you should stir it throughout. You don't have to stir it constantly, but frequently while this is simmering, just so nothing scorches on the bottom. Okay, now that the sauce is in there, I'm going to just watch it, let it cook a little bit, simmer for about 5-6 minutes, and let this thicken up a bit. Okay, so it has been 6 minutes. The sauce has thickened up a bit. You don't want it to be thick. You just want it to thicken up a little bit so it's not so liquid. But I'm going to turn this off. And we are done. That's all there is to it. Quick and easy, great for a weeknight meal. Actually, To be honest, I started this video far later than I expected to. I started at 20 after 5. I was planning on starting at like 4:45, but it is now only 6 o'clock. So within 40 minutes, with also giving you the ingredients and things, I got that done. Now, if you wanted, you could use center cut pork or pork tenderloin in place of the chicken. That is also an option. And you can serve it however you like, over any starch you like, rice, potatoes, pasta. You could even do it over eggs, scrambled eggs in particular, I enjoy it on. And you could also use it in tacos, burritos, that kind of thing. So this is a versatile dish. Comes together quickly. What more can you ask for? Well, I guess you could ask for those nutrition facts. Now this makes 4 servings, and each of those servings is going to be 0 Better Balanced Bites or Old Blue points. I'm on the Healthy Better Balance plan, equivalent to the old WW Blue plan, which is around where their current plan is. But if you are following calories, the calories for 1 serving is 357. And if you are following macros, the fat is 6.9 grams. Saturated fat is 1.5 grams. Protein is 25.3 grams. Carbs are 52.6 grams, and a lot of that does come from the corn as well as the beans. So if you want to reduce the carbs, you can eliminate the corn. Fiber is 9.1 grams, and sugars are 2.8 grams for 1/4 of this recipe. Now I hope that you enjoyed this video and this recipe, and if you did, I'd appreciate the usual like, subscribe, comment, share. Hit that notification bell for the next time I upload any sort of video. Now the recipe for this will of course be on my blog. I will link directly to the recipe as well as to the blog itself down in the description box. And also down there you can find my 2 stores. My 4th wall store, which is where this other new apron came from. And I really do like that I can tie it in the front, because usually I have a lot of trouble trying to tie it in the back. And if Paul's busy, I don't like to bother him if I can help it. And there's also my Zazzle store, which if you saw my unboxing the other day, Paul had gotten me some shopping bags from there that have my logo on it. Went shopping the other day and I love them. They are so sturdy. But those are linked down below also. Also down there is my Amazon storefront. If I've used anything on the channel you're looking to find, it may be there. And you will also find my social media, my Instagram, and a few Facebook groups that I'm part of. So check out that description box for all sorts of information. And now I'm going to get this served up, and I hope that you'll be enjoying some yourself very soon. And until next time, bye.